Okay, my wonderful, wonderful friends, what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to examine the ancient connection between Egypt and America and aliens. Now, I want to apologize because I made a quick determination about this, that it's somebody just carved it and they were playing around and so forth. Because there's another, I think it's right over here, there's a face carved into a rock. I'm almost certain that one is just carved. This one now, though, I came back to take a look at it again, and I got to be honest with you, this goes back several years, and whoever sent this to me, I just dismissed it, and I lost track with the person's name and so forth. So I don't know who sent it to me, but I believe it was in Tennessee or somewhere down around in there, in the eastern United States, southern-ish area, maybe Georgia, I don't know. And I was told that there was a bunch of carving things in this area. Now, so I go back to look at the Sphinx. And if you've been paying attention, and I hope you have, you understand that red blood, which is right below the skin layer, basically, right down. You got to get below the skin before you get to the red blood. That creates, if it's an artery, it creates nice green, very, very green moss, which you can see a lot of that. Where you want to look for is in the cracks and so forth, where flesh would be exposed. The same thing here. Now, here's what really caught my eye. You see that little coating there? And it runs all the way up here. This almost looks like the hide of a creature's skin. And all this like patterning here. Now, did somebody chisel that or cut it with a, this is old. I don't think this is young enough to be done with power tools. I think this is older than that. Now, the thing is, though, when I looked and I see this, which I'm going to call this skin or hide, leather, fur, whatever it is, it's the coating that coats over your red, your green, your red bloody flesh. And that's where the green grows. Now, you see this here? Why is this way down here if this is from his flesh? And then I realized, I saw this. It looks like it slid down, exposing all that moss or red flesh to the moss. Then I looked over here and I saw this is what happens on the edge where things run off and there's deterioration in flesh. You see, if I was on site, I could tell in 10 minutes if this was real or not. Because you also look for where the fingertips and the claws and so forth make contact with the skin. You're going to find that same thing. Blood will be issuing out of there eventually. But I believe now, this could very well have been, at one time, a lionish hybrid human. I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore. I got to be honest with you. The world is so different than I had ever assumed that now I'm going back and looking at every single thing that I dismissed. And I'm finding out I made some mistakes. Now, I have to say, on your hands and your feet and so forth, there's a coating, they call it grip skin or friction skin. And let me show you that on my creatures I have here in my yard. All right, if you've been around long enough, you've seen this, I'm certain. It's 3 feet long almost, right in that area, from here to the very end of the tip of the finger. This is the fingernail. It's 3 feet long. Now, that's hardened into the hardest stone you could ever imagine. And the grip skin is right here. Okay, you see this right here? It peels off just like this, just like it did on that Sphinx. And I have a hand that's more of a mud fossil. This is turned into what they call sarsen stone. Let me show you the hand. All right, this is, I don't know, it's about almost 4 feet wide, I think. And this is a hand, a left hand, and that's the tendon that runs down. That's the bumper pad. You see it right there? Now, you see this silvery looking stuff? That's the grip skin. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, friction skin. And it's a thick, and the same thing with the hide on creatures and the skin. You know, you take a dog or a cat or anything, you can move their skin all around. It's all over. It's a very thick hide. And that is what's peeling off of that Sphinx. All right, I'm going to run through some pictures here of, this is not a sculpture. This is literally a head. And I can tell because of all of these little pores that are in here. That is what's called interstitial skin. That floats around on your head and all your fascia skin and all that stuff that's flexible and pulley. And let's take a look. I have a whole bunch of pictures. The person didn't want to be identified that had this, but this was found in New Jersey. All right, and this is there's the neck. There's the artery for the neck, so it's not fake. It's not fake by any means. And that's the side of it. Now, I understand all of these little fabric-y looking things are from a certain way and a certain condition that this thing petrified in. All right, it's a smallish looking head. All right, there's the neck again. And, you know, this, if it was looked at real, I have never had this in my hand, but if it was looked at real closely, I could find all kinds of things to prove what I'm saying. But now you can see in the shadows and so forth how deeply these are interstitial fabric. This is a fabric. Nobody carved this like this. Believe me, I've seen a lot of these things. I know what I'm talking about now. Now it's a long-headed thing, and might have had some kind of an earplug going on right there. I don't know. And I got one last one here. And that's on the side. Now, it looks like it was buried on its face, and this was sticking out of the ground or something. But this was found in New Jersey. All right, now, this one here, I got this picture and a couple other ones from Heath Bowman. You see the same look to this as was in the Egyptian head? Same thing. These are real eyes. This was a real alien head. And I mean, it looks alien to me. I don't know about you. But that's one picture, and then I have a side view. That's the side view of it. And it has ears up here. It looks like maybe even like a double ear looking thing, whatever it is. Now, I know Heath sold this, so he doesn't have this anymore. So and I don't know if there's any tracking to it anymore. But I don't really have a whole lot of details on the things that I have. I'm more of a believe it or not guy. Rogers, believe it or not. All right, here's one from Sib Sibley. I don't have any details on that, but I mean, this stuff. I've got so much stuff it just knock your socks off. All right, this is another one. I think it's a Naga. You see how different this looks like now? Because it's dried out. When you put water in there, all of a sudden, all of the textures come. You see the difference now? Remember I told you to look in the cracks and the creases and the different areas where the texture changes. Same thing up in here. This, I think there was hair coming out of there. That's what the Naga looks like. Now I'm going to show you where the head was fractured in the back and there's red blood. You see that? That's the back of the head. There's a crack. Somebody smashed the head. And this is the red, or it fell back on its back and whatever. That's red blood. And as far as I can determine, all the creatures I have found are red-blooded. Now, there's talk about blue-blooded people. There's red and there's blue blood in your body. It's not really blue. It's just they show it as being blue because it's depleted of the oxygen and so forth. It's a little different color than the red blood. And that's why you have arterial blood that turns black in mud fossils. And you have red blood that stays red. And that is from an artery. And this is a fluted, you see it? It's a fluted back of the head, just like they showed the Nagas. This is as close as I can get to what Kim has. It's Kim Montgomery, and she still got the head. And And you see the hair coming down? It looks like it's coming off of that crown. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm not guessing whether it was alive or not. I can guarantee you it was alive. There's the throat. And you see this little bump here and this little bump here? This is the chin. The throat comes up and goes out like that. These two here, I think, are forked tongue. I don't know. But this stuff up here is related to the, your bones in your neck and so forth. Now, there's also red and black artery shows up on here. Well, it's not real bright, but you can see there's the red and the black is the artery and the vein that service that neck for that Naga. Okay, this is turning out to be a great day, my friends. I got up and I was going to do Sphinx in the USA. There's a Sphinx in the USA. Well, there is, and I think I showed it to you already. And then I see this. This is just today. Steve Quayle talking about genetic destruction and all this stuff, and he's talking about Jesus and God and aliens and all of these things. What was the deal with that? And it comes down to here, join Greg Hunter about this conference, the Egyptian and alien connection in the Americas. I just showed you. There was Egyptian looking, or there was a head here found. I don't know whether it's from here or somebody brought it here. The Sphinx thing it's starting to look to me like it might have been an actual Sphinx. And it might have actually been a living creature at one time. If you read Metamorphosis by Ovid, you'll understand that they turned all these creatures into landscape. The bad gods were in control. That's the whole thing that people don't understand. When they first came to Earth, it was all the bad gods running the show. And they just had a blast. They did anything they wanted. There was wars and rapes and all kinds of crazy things going on, and that's why. And then, so we got a lot of thinking to do about that side of things too, because they didn't just all go away. There's some residualness of that very bad seed, as far as I'm concerned. And that's another thing I'm digging into too. I mean, there's so much to look into. This is a bone. This is a bone on my property. This is not a piece of concrete. I'll show it in a microscope a little later, but this thing was probably just absolutely enormous, because it's all fractured up. But inside I'll be able to find blood and everything else. When they soaked in this hot saltwater flood, it just drained all the fluids out of everything and left certain structural components there. And a lot of it was collagen and these bone minerals. They were so stable that they didn't get leached out like all of the fluids and fats and glycerols and all of that stuff. So we'll look at that in the microscope real quick. Oh, the other thing that was really cool was Michael Tellinger got back to me about doing a show. And we're going to do a show probably next week or sometime very soon. And he's into all of this stuff. He's one of the very few. So it should be very interesting. And he's into all of this stuff. And when I say all of it, I mean all of it, all the way up to the physics and everything that I do. So it should be quite interesting. All right, this is that big bone, and I'll show you this. It looks a little distorted now, but it's that curved bone, big, huge, gigantic one. Now, what I'm focusing in on here is a blood vessel. They run right around the outside of the bone. Now, I have to turn the lights off. And I'm going to go right up here and look at it. There it is right there. That's a blood vessel. Now let me move this around. You see up here, this is all blood, this is all tissue and calcium and all of these little holes and so forth. That's not concrete. This is all biology. Now that's this bone right here. Now let's turn on the light, get the microscope out of the way. That's this bone right here. Huge, gigantic. Look at the size of it. think about the size of the bone. There's the curve. This thing would have gone like absolutely enormous. All right, and that was a bone probably on a leg of something. Now, my biggest giant that I have here is, and it was DNA tested, it has that 3-inch fingertip. So that I figured, I think about 160, 180 feet tall, something like that. Would this be a bone from that creature? I don't know. This would be a huge bone. An 180 feet tall guy would need some pretty huge bones. Okay, this is from Flashpoint History, the Catalan Atlas, a medieval marvel. Now, this is, and it is, I've shown this many times because it actually shows that dragon in Morocco, the Catalan Atlas. And I'm just starting into it, looking into it now, but it looks like it's going to be a fabulous video. Alright, I'm not going to show too much of this, but it is good. They're talking about the people from Atlantis, the seagoing traders. This is the dragon in Morocco. I'm going to show you one quick shot, and then I'm going to wrap it up for today. And stay tuned, stay engaged, because I'm starting to get people to open up. This is the problem. It's so spectacular and so crazy and so insane and throws everything up in the air so high that people just, they turn their heads and walk away. But it's starting to change. People are realizing this is reality. This could impact not only just what you believe today, but even possibly your eternity. This goes back to the first days of humanity. Alright, that video goes into some excellent detail, which I sort of skip over. I'm showing the meats and the potatoes. And here's the meats right here. That is the dragon all the way across North Africa. And there's his throat cut, just exactly where I say it is. And this was where Atlantis was, for the sea-going traders. And this whole thing is just phenomenal. And so detailed, it's unbelievable. And this other video goes into all of how it was commissioned and who did it and how they took over these certain areas, and then they brought in their cryptographers, and I mean it's stunning. And just if you haven't seen it, here it is right now. Here's the dragon and the fish, just exactly what I told you. There's the giant fish. Take your time, come up and look at it, and you pay attention to it, see what you think about it. And here's the dragon. It runs all the way across North Africa, just exactly what it showed on that Catalan map. And here is his throat cut, right here. You see that? And before I was talking about red blood and green growth, what do you see right there? That is from, it cut his throat, and that's where the artery bled out in the desert. That's all from red blood. And here is the residue of the red blood, and here is the black blood, which is the vein blood. And this is his dragon throat, dragon scaled throat right here. Running all the way down. You see this? Those are dragon scales. And they run all the way down his throat, all the way down to the other side of North Africa. And here he is right up here. This is his throat, obviously, running all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. Take your time. Come back up here. You have Google Earth. I'm not going to waste your time. But I'm going to show you this is all dragon scales. And that is a dragon throat. And he was spitting out this stuff out. It looks like it comes out of the beard. You see these beards? That's a beard, and that's a beard. They come right out of the dragons. They all seem to have them. And this stuff looks like it's coming right out of the beard. I mean, that is just nastiest stuff you ever want to see. And that looks like it's issuing directly from the beard, and it's attacking that fish. Now, I've had a lot of people contact me about coins that were in the ancient coins. They show a dragon attacking a fish, and I have a bunch of pictures of that. I'm not going to bother showing it, but there's a dragon attacking a fish. They knew all these things up until not too long ago. This was from 1375, so they knew fully well what was going on here. And this dragon was attacking this fish, and it ate into his vital flesh right up there. All that nasty stuff spitting down at him. Now, you could spend your time, come up and look at it. And here's where the seagoing traders were coming in right here, before this all flooded out. And I believe this was Atlantis, and this was the Straits. They always said it was just outside the Straits. Well, there's more than one Straits in the world, and this was one that was the entrance to the Sahara Ocean until it drained out the edge, out the side. In one day, Plato said, Atlantis was swept away. It collapsed, and from the collapse, it drained the Sahara Ocean. And you can see where it drained out of here. So we got a lot of discussion to do, a lot of things to talk about. So I love you all. Stay attached. Okay? Subscribe. Give me some thumbs up. We're not getting enough thumbs up and not enough shares and all that business. We need to get more involvement and more people, because the people being taught at the schools now in history and geology and all that, it's just not right. And it's gone on for a very long time. And even the physics isn't right either. We can easily accelerate light, and we may even be able to get free energy if it was just looked at. Okay, not only on the mud fossil stuff have I found a lot of pushback, but on stuff like this right here. This is from Fermilab. They show the particles that we actually have found, but we found them from light, so we can actually squirt those particles onto a substrate. They're just trying to find them in explosions, and they found them in their head-on explosions of debris. We can actually do it's just exactly like head-on, only sideways, and that does the same thing, creates muons and electron showers from the muon neutrino and electron neutrino. And here's the muon neutrino, electron neutrino. Back to back, they make a photon. We were able to separate those, squirt them through here and separate them. We might be able to get free energy, but and I'm asking one more time for academia to pay attention to what is in front of their faces. If they don't, they have failed miserably, and they have. This is not their job to just dismiss things. It's their job to investigate things. And when there is physical evidence, which is, I'm a material scientist. I never presented a single thing that didn't have some evidence to support it. And a lot of the things actually have evidence going back to antiquity, to the BC era even, that were written about that we've just dismissed. And dismiss them out. Don't talk to the guy, he's crazy. And that's what your professors will say. Don't talk to him, he's crazy. I've been called a tinfoil hat guy by the people that are trying to do this and can't do what we did. I'm asking one more time, because, believe me, you're starting to look very, very, very weak in academia, in the government agencies, CERN, Fermilab, extreme weakness. And you have to take it as incompetence. So I would say, please contact me. You'll be the hero. Somebody has to come out and be a hero on this. You can't hide forever. It can't be hidden from. You can't be hidden from. So continue to hide, and you're just digging a deeper and deeper hole for yourself. People will never see you the same again. And rightfully so.